Um, on Canvas today, there's a new module for week 12, graffiti. Okay, so if you open that, I close my sheet. I'll show you what it looks like here. This first question on here, you're going to be able to go ahead and fill in now. So go ahead and make sure you open this up, please. Okay, so here's the presentation link. It's actually only one slide long. After this class, I'm going to edit the video and put the video of class up on that presentation link as well. If you need to watch it again. But I'm going to have you go ahead and type in, and I'm going to show a little quick video here, and hopefully it works with your guys' internet. I want you to type in the answer to this question. What do you think is graffiti art or vandalism? Okay, and I've got a quick video I'm going to show you that'll give you some ideas. This woman's talking about that exact question. Just 1 second. I need to disconnect from my smartboard. Okay, if you haven't done so already, open up week 12 graffiti. First question you're going to be able to answer during this video. And it's, what do you think? Not necessarily what this woman thinks. Okay. All right, let me try this again. Let me know if the video is not work or the sound is not working.
Spray-painted subway cars, tagged bridges, mural-covered walls. Graffiti pops up boldly throughout our cities. It can make statements about identity, art, empowerment, and politics, while simultaneously being associated with destruction. And, it turns out, it's nothing new. Graffiti, or the act of writing or scribbling on public property, has been around for thousands of years. And across that span of time, it's raised the same questions we debate now. Is it art? Is it vandalism? In the 1st century BCE, Romans regularly inscribed messages on public walls, while oceans away, Mayans were prolifically scratching drawings onto their surfaces. And it wasn't always a subversive act. In Pompeii, ordinary citizens regularly marked public walls with magic spells, prose about unrequited love, political campaign slogans, and even messages to champion their favorite gladiators. Some, including the Greek philosopher Plutarch, pushed back, deeming graffiti ridiculous and pointless. But it wasn't until the 5th century that the roots of the modern concept of vandalism were planted. At that time, a barbaric tribe known as the Vandals swept through Rome, pillaging and destroying the city. But it wasn't until centuries later that the term vandalism was actually coined in an outcry against the defacing of art during the French Revolution. And as graffiti became increasingly associated with deliberate rebellion and provocativeness, it took on its vandalist label. That's part of the reason why today, many graffiti artists stay underground. Some assume alternate identities to avoid retribution, while others do so to establish camaraderie and make claim to territory. Beginning with the tags of the 1960s, a novel overlap of celebrity and anonymity hit the streets of New York City and Philadelphia. Taggers used coded labels to trace their movements around cities while often alluding to their origins. And the very illegality of graffiti making that forced it into the shadows also added to its intrigue and growing base of followers. The question of space and ownership is central to graffiti's history. Its contemporary evolution has gone hand in hand with counterculture scenes. While these movements raised their anti-establishment voices, graffiti artists likewise challenged established boundaries of public property. They reclaimed subway cars, billboards, and even once went so far as to paint an elephant in the city zoo. Political movements, too, have used wall writing to visually spread their messages. During World War II, both the Nazi Party and resistance groups covered walls with propaganda. And the Berlin Wall's one-sided graffiti can be seen as a striking symbol of repression versus relatively unrestricted public access. As the counterculture movements associated with graffiti become mainstream, does graffiti too become accepted? Since the creation of so-called graffiti unions in the 1970s and the admission of select graffiti artists into art galleries a decade later, graffiti has straddled the line between being outside and inside the mainstream. And the appropriation of graffiti styles by marketers and typographers has made this definition even more unclear. The once unlikely partnerships of graffiti artists with traditional museums and brands have brought these artists out of the underground and into the spotlight. Although graffiti is linked to destruction, it's also a medium of unrestricted artistic expression. Today, the debate about the boundary between defacing and beautifying continues. Meanwhile, graffiti artists challenge common consensus about the value of art and the degree to which any space can be owned. Whether spraying, scrawling, or scratching, graffiti brings these questions of ownership, art, and acceptability to the surface.
Okay. So what do you think? You can write it in chat or unmute yourself. Is graffiti art or is it vandalism? I've lost my chat box. Poor elephant. Do you think it's art or is it vandalism? What do you think? Or does it depend on where it is and what it is? Ariana says it is a form of unrestricted self-expression, bringing people together. I think it's art. I agree. I think it's art. What if that unrestricted self-expression is also ruining someone else's art? So for example, tomorrow we are going, 10 eighth graders and I are going to be spray painting at the Longfellow Tunnel all day. And it's going to be awesome. But the reason why the city asks us to do this every year is so that people don't come in and just randomly spray paint graffiti. But sometimes that still happens. It discourages it, but sometimes we still end up getting our stuff destroyed. Okay, so is it more art that, is it still art when it's someone's destroying ours? Yuba says, I believe graffiti is art. It isn't harmful and it is a way to express express someone's feelings or thoughts, just like all art. And then he added that he doesn't think that it is art if it's covering someone else's up. So generally, that's why cities make mural programs, is because if the graffiti artists are actually viewing themselves as artists, they won't actually go over someone else's work unless it's already got some wear on it and it's already, you know, being destroyed by the elements or been tagged by someone else. Generally, tagging is referred to as someone putting their name on it, but also I tend to use it as a distinction between is it artwork, and then I would say graffiti. If I'm saying tag, then it might be just like gangs or people that want to look like they're in a gang, putting up the signs for that. Okay. Just putting up gang signs is not art, I don't think. And some of you might think that it is too. And sometimes that leads people kind of into a path of like getting into graffiti as an art form too. Ariana also wrote, isn't that just like the competitiveness of the art market and museums, where it smothers another for personal gain? Absolutely. You're absolutely right. So when someone comes along and paints over our space, and like I said, usually that doesn't happen. This past year it did, but that's because we haven't painted in almost 2 years because of COVID. So they came in after it had been up for a long time and painted something else. But absolutely, that's and the whole competitiveness of the art market and museums. That's why Banksy does what he does, because he's taking the art to the people instead of the people having to pay to get into the museum to see a limited number of works. Okay, great discussion, guys. So on your sheet, I want you to type in what you think. Is it art or is it vandalism? And maybe it might require a paragraph or a couple of sentences or a couple of words. Tell me why. So that is on number 1 here. Then you're going to record what you wrote in your graffiti and then also give me a photo of it. Let me go back here. On this presentation link, which is at the top of your paper, like I said, there will be a video of the presentation that I'm giving you guys right now. But right now, there's also 2 links that take you to graffiti generators. Okay, so you can use the fonts that you made up when in the week, the project 2 weeks ago, where you guys did the alphabet. You picked a letter and then you made it as many times as you different ways as you could in 45 minutes. Or you can look at these graffiti generators and find a font that you like. And in the demo video that's at the bottom, I show you how to use it. Why is it not showing me? Okay, this one is not working. So use the other one. Here it gives you lots of different styles, things like that. What I don't want you to do though is to trace what is there, okay, on your screen. I do want you to look at it to draw, okay, instead of tracing. You're going to draw it out then on paper, give it some color, and then put a photo in, okay? We are not going out and spray painting these, but if you wanted to do this in chalk on your sidewalk, you certainly could. If you wanted to do this in paint on your bedroom wall and your parents say that's okay, that's cool. Do not use spray paint in the house. It's very stinky. So that's it for my presentation today. Let me know if you have any questions about what you need to do. Okay. And then we will meet again on Thursday and talk about next week as well.